I looked over to see that her shivering had returned and tears had formed in the corners of her eyes. I sighed, then took a deep breath to steady myself, realizing I might regret making this decision. How long? What? How long will you need me up there? I can't mix and record back here if I'm up there too. Tony's spritz brightened considerably. Does that mean yes? If I'm not up there for the entire show, it does. Tony launched off the chair and showered me with kisses and hugs. I will never understand how someone so small can hug like that. Thanks, Bear. You'll never know how happy that makes me feel. That's all right, Tony. Now how are you two going to explain me being on stage with her? Have you thought of that? The discussion over the next hour revolved around what we were going to do and how to do it. Costumes, props, and arrangements with the band for the music were worked out. It would require some practice in the morning for everyone concerned, though. Tony was positively floating on air as the group broke up to continue on with the normal rehearsal. I know it will work. Bear. It's a great idea. The crowd is just gonna go wild. I hope so, Tony. I dearly hope so. Now get up there so we can get this finished. We have a lot to do tomorrow before the show starts if it's going to work. She bounded up to the stage. The recording equipment worked fine. We finished up the rehearsal just before 9 o'clock. After some final discussions, we left with the understanding we would all be back at the Dome at around 9 in the morning to work out the final preparations for the new opening of the shows. The leftover barbecue had disappeared from the cooler during a break in the rehearsal. As we loaded everything back in the tank, Tony looked a little tired. Wanna go right home, Tony? Do you read minds too, Bear? Just faces. You look like I feel. Come on, let's go. Tony dozed in the passenger seat all the way home. She was still sleeping when I turned into the driveway, pulled up to the house, and turned off the engine. I gently picked her up from the front seat of the tank and carried her to the front porch. She woke up as I was fumbling for the key. Realizing where she was, she gave me a quick kiss on the cheek. You can put me down now, Bear. I placed her gently on the seat on the porch and plunked down beside her. Hi, sleepyhead. Ready for bedtime? Am I ever? Thanks for agreeing to help me. It means a lot to me. It's no problem, Tony. As long as it helps you get through the show. I know it was quite a shock to learn how big the crowd will be tomorrow. You got that right. Come on. I'm heading for the bed and fast. She got up and waited for me to unlock the door. I locked it again as we split for our own rooms. Good night, Tony. Night, Bear. And thanks. I almost fell into bed after changing into my pajamas. Sleep came in just a few minutes. It was just after 3 in the morning when I woke up with a very urgent need to use the bathroom. As I started to move, I realized someone besides me was in my bed again. The red hair obscuring my vision again was a good indication of who it was. She woke up as I got up. Bear. Go back to sleep, Tony. I need to use the bathroom. Was the only response I got. I crawled back in bed a few minutes later. Tony felt the bed move and snuggled back up to me again. I put an arm over her middle, then fell asleep. I wondered why the alarm clock was buzzing until I remembered what today was and what had to be done. I opened my eyes to find that once again red hair was everywhere, blocking my vision. As I started to move, Tony's eyes popped open and she smiled. Morning, Bear. How are you? Fine so far. How about we both get up and get busy? We need to be at the Dome in just 2 hours. Will you fix something real quick for breakfast? How about some toaster waffles and sausage? I have some sausage cooked already in the fridge. It'll take only a few minutes to nuke it in the microwave. Sounds good to me. OJ and some toast too. You got it. Now let me up. She got out of bed and walked back to her room. I headed for the bathroom again. 30 minutes later, I was dressed and heading for the kitchen. Tony was already there. Have a seat, Bear. Breakfast is almost ready. I sat down at the table and took a drink of the orange juice, then nibbled at the toast on the plate. Tony joined me at the table after a few minutes. Do you really think this will work, Tony? Of course it will. It's all how you present it, Bear. I wish I had as much confidence as you do about it. I keep thinking I'll look like a fool up there. So, I don't want to be laughed at, Tony. Who cares as long as they laugh, Bear? Isn't it better they laugh than boo at us? I would much rather hear laughter than disapproval from the audience. Laughter means they've accepted what you're doing. I thought about that for several seconds. I'd have to agree with that. I guess it doesn't matter as much as I thought. So you're okay with this? Hey, I'm just as nervous as you are, maybe more. I've never been in front of more than a couple of hundred people in an audience before, Tony. Where was that? I used to belong to a computer users group many years ago. I had to give an impromptu presentation when the person that was supposed to speak couldn't attend. I had no time to prepare and no notes to work from. I was never so nervous in my entire life. Since you're still here, I take it you didn't die of a massive embarrassment overload? I got a standing ovation after almost 2 hours. That included a rather long question and answer session too. So, what's the problem doing this? I knew what I was doing then, Tony. I have no idea what I'm doing now. We'll get through this together, Bear. Wait and see. I shrugged and finished my breakfast, then we put the dishes in the washer and started it. I went to my room and found several items of clothing I needed and stuffed them in a gym bag. I met Tony by the front door. Got everything, Tony? All set. Let's roll. I locked the front door. In a couple of minutes, the tank rumbled to life, then I pointed the truck at Syracuse. I jammed the CD I made last night in the radio, then adjusted the volume as it started to play. Tony listened intensely to the song 4 or 5 times, then began to sing along with it. By the time the 10th repeat came along, she had it down cold. I hoped the band would be as good. How did you learn that so fast? Phonographic memory. Phonographic memory. I remember music and lyrics very well. Sometimes it's a gift, other times a curse. Well, today I'm glad it's a gift. As we pulled into the lot at the Dome, I noticed several trucks marked Truxton Teleproductions parked next to the airlock of the Dome. I made a mental note to ask Tyler what that was all about. We walked into the Dome through a revolving door into the backstage area. I flagged Tyler down as he hurried past. Bear, thank God you're here. I just found out the record company sent a TV crew to tape the shows. I didn't know till I got here this morning. I was going to ask about the trucks outside. If they need an audio feed, that's not a problem. Have their engineer meet me back at the console in a little while. Thanks, Bear. We really owe you for this one. Tyler scurried off, muttering to himself. Well, that's a surprise. Looks like this will be on television at some point too. Now if I make a fool of myself, it gets broadcast all over the world. What do you mean, if I make a fool of myself, Bear? I'm right beside you out there. I'll look like a fool just as much as you will. Sorry, Tony. I'm sacred too. I've never done anything like this before. I noticed someone standing next to the console. I need to go see what the television people want. Tony headed for the backstage area. I walked back to the mixing console. The TV crew needed a feed of the stage audio. I patched them into the console, then put some audio from a test CD into the system. The technician confirmed the feed was working with the production truck outside the Dome. About an hour later, we started rehearsing the small portion of the show when I would be on the stage with Tony. We wound up going through that section of the show 5 more times until I felt that I had a reasonable chance of doing it without messing up badly when I did it for real. It also gave the poor guy I selected from the road crew a chance to get used to the board. He would run things until I was finished on stage, then I would resume my normal place and run the system for the rest of the show. The backstage area turned out to actually be under the stage. The stage itself was a raised platform about 12 feet above the actual floor of the Dome. All of the space under it was divided into small rooms by cloth curtains hung between the support posts. There were several storage areas for props and costumes, a small lounge area for the band and cast. Other rooms included a couple of changing areas and a small room for Tony. As I watched all of the activity, I saw several camera crews with portable equipment scurrying around. They were taping the behind-the-scenes goings-on. I shrugged, then went on to look for Tony. I caught up with Tony in her room. As I entered, she was sitting on an old, well-worn sofa with her legs pulled so her knees were under her chin. She was holding on to her legs and rocking slightly on the couch, looking very much like a lost and very scared little girl. When I took a seat beside her, I could hear her muttering, "So many people, so many people. Tony, are you all right?" Oh. I'm fine, Bear. Liar. She rolled over on her side, curling up into a ball with her head on my lap, looking up at me. I know. It's just so scary. Tony, you'll do fine tonight. Just remember that every one of those people out there wanted to come and see you perform. It's a friendly audience. On top of that, I think this might be the first time this place is a sellout for anything other than a football game. And you did it twice in one day. That's incredible. Her sniffles subsided as she realized the significance of the performances today. I guess this means that I finally made it, doesn't it, Bear? From what I know about you, Tony, you made it the very first day you appeared on that kids' TV show in Chicago. You have a whole range of possibilities you haven't even explored yet. Writing your own music, playing your own music, acting, and lots more. She uncurled and sat back up, then turned toward me. You're right, Bear. I concentrated so much on my music career that I forgot about the other possibilities. I suppose that I should feel good about the performances tonight rather than be scared of all of the people. They paid to come, and I have to give them the best show possible. Yes, you do, and I'll be there to help. Are you going to be all right now, Tony? Yes, Papa Bear. I'll be fine. Say, why don't you get your costume and come back here to change? I'll go get into mine in the changing room, and we'll see how well we match. Okay, let's do it. I retrieved my costume from the wardrobe department and got dressed in Tony's room. A few minutes later, Tony appeared in her outfit. We looked each other over from head to toe. Nice outfit, Tony. She had on some skin-tight low-rider black jeans and a bright blue halter top. Over the halter top was a short leather vest with leather fringe that hung down almost 6 inches from the bottom of the vest. She wore a black wig with long straight hair hanging down well past her waist. She looked a few inches taller since she was wearing some 60s-style wide high heels with what had to be a 4-inch rise. You look great too, Bear. I was wearing black jeans, a shirt in the same electric blue color as Tony's top, and a similar style leather vest with fringe. I was given a pair of Western boots with a silver toe and a low heel. I see only one thing wrong with your outfit, Bear. What's that, Tony? Just stay there. I'll be right back. A couple of minutes later, Tony returned with someone from the makeup department carrying what looked to be shaving supplies. Tony, what did you have in mind? I wasn't sure I was going to like the answer. You need to get rid of that beard. We'll let you keep the mustache and some heavy sideburns though. But, Tony. No buts, Bear. She nodded to the makeup woman to start shaving. I decided not to fight it and let them remove most of my beard. It would grow back anyway. Bear, you look great under all of that fuzz. Why are you hiding your face? No real reason other than the biker look, Tony. I just wanted to be left alone. You coming into my life has changed that. I looked in the mirror that was offered and saw a face I hadn't seen in at least 10 years or more. Tony put her arms around my neck, then kissed me on my newly shaven cheek. That's so much better than kissing you through that beard. Let's go show everyone your new look. She grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the dressing rooms. The comments I got were 100% positive in the change in my appearance. There was even some interest in a date or two expressed by some of Tony's female backup singers and dancers. I left the dressing rooms in a mental fog. Showtime was just minutes away as we walked in the maze-like hallways of the space below the stage. We wound up at what looked like a small elevator. As I looked at it, I could see that a section of the stage floor would slide aside and a platform rise up through the stage. Anyone standing on the platform would appear to be rising through the stage. The stage opening had a ring of pipe with small holes around it. The ring was connected to a fog generator so that a wall of fog could surround the opening. Remember, Bear, stay close to me as we're being lifted up. As soon as the fog starts to clear, step through it. Okay, Tony. We stepped onto the waiting platform and listened to the announcer warming up the crowd. Tony looked up at me and squeezed my hand. The announcer finished his warm-up and introduced us. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Tony and Bear. We hugged each other tightly. It was impossible for me to tell which of us was shaking more than the other. The band started the first tune, Sonny and Cher's The Beat Goes On. We took a deep breath and held it as we popped up inside the fog cloud, then stepped forward. I played Sonny to Tony's Cher. The audience had figured out the joke and got into the spirit of things by applauding. The roar was almost deafening. We made it through the first song, then began a short session of jokes and digs at each other as we had planned. Hi everyone. Thanks Cleveland. We're so glad to be here. Bear. We're in Syracuse. This is Wednesday, isn't it? If it's Wednesday, we must be in Cleveland. No, it's Saturday, Bear. Are you sure, Tony? My watch says Wednesday. I looked closely at my watch and tapped the face of it. Look, it's a Rolex. It can't be wrong. Let me see that. She pulled my arm over to see the watch. That's not a Rolex, you idiot. It says relax. Where did you get this watch? I bought it from a guy at one of our last concerts. He was selling these on the sidewalk outside the theater. I paid $5.95 for that. $595 for a relax? Boy, did they see you coming. I paid $5.95 for it. I may be dumb, but I'm not that stupid. The audience laughed and applauded. Anyway, this is Saturday and we're in Syracuse, not Cleveland. Are you sure, Tony? She looked out at the audience. Will you tell him where we are, please? The audience delighted in yelling out Syracuse, loud and clear. Okay, I admit it. I misplaced a whole city. I lifted my arm and gently rested my elbow on Tony's head, looking I was leaning on her. I'd say you misplaced your deodorant too. She waved her hand in front of her nose and made a face like she smelled something real bad. Then she lifted my elbow off her head and let it drop to my side. The routine lasted another 15 minutes. The audience was roaring with laughter when we finished. Well, Tony, I want to declare a truce. I won't do any more short jokes if you stay away from the fat jokes. Deal? She looked thoughtful for a few seconds. Deal, Bear. Deal, Munchkin. We hugged each other again as I stood with my back to the audience. Tony made an effort to hug me around my middle. When she couldn't reach all the way around, she made the exaggerated hand gestures we had planned to the audience. I heard a wave of laughter behind me as the audience got the joke. We kissed briefly, then closed with "I got you, babe," holding hands during the song. I waved goodbye and blew her a kiss as Tony left the stage to do her first costume change. Well, that wraps up the show tonight. Thanks for coming, folks. I turned to walk backstage. The audience roared their disapproval. Oh, sorry about that. You wanted to hear more? The response was a reverberating yes. We figured that Tony would need several minutes to make the costume change and get into position, so she asked me to do a solo. The band started playing The Ballad of Thunder Road by Robert Mitchum. Let me tell the story, I can tell it all. About the mountain boy who ran illegal alcohol. His daddy made the whiskey, the son he drove the load. When his engine roared, they called the highway Thunder Road. Sometimes into Asheville. The simple bass, guitar, and drums instrumental reverberated through the dome. The background singers joined in on the chorus and provided a choral background. As the song finished, the audience roared with approval. I bowed and waved to the audience, then handed the wireless mic to one of the band members and walked back toward the mixing console. The band broke into the instrumental of Thunder Road as I walked down the stairs at the edge of the stage. Even though an aisle had been blocked off to allow easy access to the mixing console, the crowd wanted to shake my hand or get an autograph. I managed to shake a few hands and do a couple of autographs before I made it back to relieve the road crew person at the controls. The band ended the instrumental as I reached the mixing console. Moments after I sat down at the mixing board, the spotlights lit up another fog cloud on the stage. Tony burst through the fog and started in with her regular show. The next 2 hours were almost a blur. During the intro section of the show, Tony asked me to stand up again. The response from the audience was even greater than it had been at the Chicago show a week earlier. I suddenly gained an understanding of why Tony continued on with her performing career even though it had as many problems as it did benefits. The response from the audience for your work was the most important thing of all. I vowed then and there not to get addicted to it. The performance ended to thunderous applause from the audience and not one but 2 encores by Tony and the band. It took nearly half an hour for the crowd to clear out. The next show started at 8 p.m., so we had almost 4 hours to relax. I went outside the dome to check on the weather and spotted the dinosaur barbecue crew cooking again. I went back inside the dome to find Tony. She was relaxing on the old couch in her room under the stage. Tony, can I come in? Sure, Bear. Thanks for going on with me this afternoon. Did you have fun? I got comfortable on the couch next to her. I don't have to go on again tonight, do I? You're over your case of crowd shock, aren't you? Sadly, yes. I had so much fun that I was hoping you wanted to do it again tonight, but if you'd rather not, I won't make you. I think I'll just stay with running the sound, Tony. I do understand now why you put up with all of the hassles of being a star. The feeling you get when the audience applauds your effort can be mighty addicting, can't it? It is, Bear. There's no other feeling like it. Sure you don't want to get that feeling again? Positive, Tony. Well, you can't blame me for trying, can you? She leaned over and hugged me. Hey, do you want to head out to the TV truck to see what the concert looked like? Sure, let's go. Let me tell Tyler where we're going first. We walked out toward the truck. Tyler appeared headed in the same direction. Going to take a look too? Yes, Bear. We've never had video from one of Tony's live concerts before. We walked up the short set of steps in front of the truck and knocked on the door. We were invited inside the production truck. One end was a small room with a rather large television and a good sound system. We got comfortable in the chairs, then the TV crew started the playback. I wanted to hide when I saw myself step out of the fog bank with Tony. I looked totally out of place and extremely nervous for the first minute or so. As the first song finished, you could see that I had loosened up considerably. Performing was one thing, watching yourself perform was a completely different experience.